Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Tam McManus and Alec Ray here with me in the studio to talk all things Scottish football. Thank you very much to you for joining us, and of course thank you for all the great figures and the backing you're giving us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So many people have done it, but there are more than a few who've yet to do it, who are watching the Football Show regularly every day of the week, and we're delighted that you're showing us that support. And if you want to, you can hit the PLZ Premium, and as soon as you do that, you're in the prize draw, 2 tickets to the Champions League final at the Puskas Arena in Budapest, and we'll also throw in flights and accommodation as well. Doesn't get any better than that. And for the benefit of anyone who's affected by cancer, our charity sponsor for the whole season, Maggie's, offers so much support to families affected by someone with cancer. And if you know any family or friends who are looking for information, go to www.maggies.org. So, football at the forefront. Of course, Kevin Muscat is the main talking point. He's not coming. Danny Rohl has rolled into Glasgow. Is he going to be unveiled as the new manager, or is there yet to be another hitch that we haven't seen? And over and above that, the Honda Civic Celtic get battered by the Fiat 500 Dundee. We'll discuss that with the guys. Hearts are 5 points clear at the top. Could it happen? Could we see Tam in a full Hearts kit? It's looking good, Ruffy. It's looking good. 5 points clear.
Yeah, I'll look even better if it's 8 points at the weekend. I'm sure.
If Hearts beat Celtic at the weekend, I'll be flapping.
It is absolutely incredible. I mean, nobody would have seen this coming. And of course, we will again talk about VAR. There were some decisions at the weekend, that are interesting to talk about. So let's get to the meat and bones of it all. Alec, you've seen more than a few surprises down through the years at Rangers. Is this one? It's right up there. Did it surprise you? Is it right up there?
No, it's right up there. The way that this has actually played out has been painful for everyone involved with Rangers. It's played far too much out in the media. You know, there will always be speculation, but it's almost as if the Rangers fans have been strung along. Firstly, Steven Gerrard, and then obviously at the weekend, 1 week down the line, your Muscat. It looked as if it was more or less done and dusted. And then the guy who took his cell out the running last week now looks as if he's a front runner. So the way this has actually played out has actually been a bit of a shambles, really. And when you factor in that this guy's obviously kind of ruled his sell out last week, is going to be the new gaffer going into this weekend, by the looks of things, you then think to yourself, how does this play out with the Rangers following? You know, on the back of the debacle of Russell Martin, who was in the wrong movie, the recruitment process, and now you have Stevie Smith taking the team at the weekend. By all accounts, the first half was really impressive. Second half, back to basics, what they've been producing of late. So you've got a discontented fan base with a manager who probably is the last man standing. So all in all, I think it's played out really poorly.
I don't think I could have put it any better myself, because
I'm sure you could have.
Quite simply, no, because I think the other thing about it is, you know what Glasgow's like. There's a bit of toing and froing with the banter, but the point here, looking at a club professionally, is quite simply that this is painful for Rangers fans, and also you have a situation where, with each game that there's no manager there, Ruffy, the league title, which everybody considered slipping away, and they're not really in contention for it. But over and above that, you've got people who've paid a lot of hard-earned money. They're not happy with what they're watching. They're being fed that this guy's coming in, that guy's coming in. You've got podcasters all over the place giving you, their version of the truth. And undoubtedly, you have a club that many a manager would have walked over broken glass to join Rangers and take them on in the 90s. But now, in 2025, you've got Kevin Muscat, who's not coming right away, and that doesn't suit anybody. So that's where the whole deal collapses. That's really the crux of the matter. Can you come now? Rangers want you now. No.
Yeah, I think that's obviously what it was. Obviously, they'd had a meeting, and that was what they'd said. Look, we want you right away. And he's probably said, like, I want to go away and think about it. And obviously he's come back and said, no, I'm doing particularly well here. I could win another league title, and it's a no. And as Alex says, it just doesn't look good, even for the Steven Gerrard. That conversation must have went along the same lines as well, waiting on him making a decision. So they've now got a new guy coming in that, as Alex said, the fans have got to take to him, and the only way they're going to take to him is winning games.
So sorry, see on this what you're saying there about this whole situation, Peter. See, for me, I find it astonishing that we're actually talking about this. That Kevin Muscat, the timing of it all. Surely that takes place in the very early exchanges. Well, when can you come in?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Why are we 2 weeks down the road? Do you know what I mean? Stephen Gerrard pulled out a couple of weeks ago. Muscat had a whole week to lead in, and then it takes that long to actually fall into place. I'm sitting here going to myself, surely these conversations with agents, because this must have all taken place prior to Russell Martin getting bumped, because we all know how this works. I told you this story a couple of weeks ago that I get interviewed for a job while there's somebody still in situ. Do you know what I mean? And it happens. And this is the way people operate now. You look at Notts Forest as well as a different. They look as if they're almost going to put someone right away. That's because discussions have already taken place. The parameters have all been kind of laid out before you actually go, we're bumping him and we're bringing Tam in. So I just find it astonishing that at that late stage that's a stumbling block.
Yeah, the other aspect of this, which, and I'm not harping back to it, is if it's the halcyon days and the glory days of how it should be done, because obviously David Murray was at the forefront of Rangers' demise, and a lot of Rangers fans don't look on him with any great affection. But the one thing that he did do in his early days when he was there and he was calling the shots, and the same I could say for David Holmes under Lawrence Marlborough, deal. This is what's on offer. This is what you'll be paid. This is what you're going to have as a kitty to spend. Go out and do it. Get the deal done. It goes to what Alex is saying there. This has turned into an embarrassment. And also the other aspect of we haven't even got to the point of the stature of Danny Rohl and whether he is just another Russell Martin. But the whole way it's been handled, they've gone from one debacle to the next. Interestingly enough, and the reason why I mentioned David Murray is that I caught maybe a TikTok or some short little clip from him over the last 6 or 7 days where he said basically if he'd been in charge, Van Bronckhorst wouldn't have been sacked. He would have given him to the end of the season. He says this is a guy who led Rangers to a European final, and suddenly they're bulleting him just because certain results are not going well in a period. He said that the decisions with too many people with too many irons in the fire prompted his demise, and now you've got a situation where you've got a new board in. They've got people there that the Rangers fans are definitely not happy with. And these guys are making decisions which at this moment look as if there's no clear pattern to it.
No, there isn't. And I think when you look at Rangers over the piece at the minute, I don't think it's that attractive a job, Peter. Rangers' job at the minute. I think when you look at Russell Martin, as long as he lasts a couple of months, the problems off the field with the board, the guys picking the manager. I think if you're a manager looking at the job now and you're thinking, is that a great job to get into now for Rangers? I don't think it is, Peter. And I think if it was different circumstances, Muscat would have been on the plane right away. I think he wants to see his time out there and then maybe see what's happening. But I think you look at the squad of players that Rangers have got at the minute, obviously no scope to do anything until January. I don't think it's that attractive a job at the minute.
I'll throw that back to you. Is this not the best time to get Rangers? When they've actually got 1 and 8? There's only one way you can go, surely.
Well, the other thing about it, which nobody is contemplating on this, and this goes back to the Gerrard situation where Rangers are not prepared to pay $5 million in tax for him. That's the first thing. So that deal collapses because nobody's going to pay his tax bill. The second part of it is quite simply, you don't know the circumstances over and above that, which have tied Kevin Muscat into something that has prompted him to say, well, I'm not leaving right away. If he's saying I'm not leaving right away because on my terms I want to finish the season in China, then you get to the point you say, well, I'm sorry, you're not going to be the Rangers manager. Yeah. But they allowed it, as you said, to drag on to a situation where you think...
phoned maybe 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago.
Well, that right at the start,
point,
as you said.
No,
but I don't know, the only thing you and I and everybody here doesn't know, and lots of people don't know, is what's the circumstances at Kevin Muscat's end?
No, absolutely. But the thing is see, I can understand from Muscat's point of view, I can understand why you're in a project and you're there, but the Rangers fans won't buy that, Peter. So you're like, wait. And I don't mean this disrespectful, because I don't really know the level over in China, but Rangers fans see their club as big and important and so forth, and when you get a rubber, the old days, a rubber ear, then you're going like, you're no day for us, you're not the guy to take us forward.
Yeah, but that point should have been reached, as you mentioned, far earlier. And at the end of the day, Ruffy, regardless of anything else, whether it's a good time to get them or not, Rangers still have a standing where you say, Rangers want you to come and manage. You've been here before. Do you want to become the manager? Yes? Okay, let's thrash out the terms.
Yeah, but Tom's hit it on the head. The Rangers' job and the size of the club that Alex is saying, you shouldn't be thinking about it. You wouldn't have been thinking about it 5 years ago. You'd be jumping at it. Give me it. Give me it right now. This is a massive club, massive support, everything that goes with it. There are cups get won and leagues get won. So why wouldn't you go there and test? I don't get, the way these people are thinking. They're thinking about themselves, not thinking about where they're going.
I actually see the thing is, so you made a really interesting point there in terms of the previous board. There's 4 or 5 guys all calling shots, and the actual running of the football club is a bit of a mess. You know what I mean? Because there's so many investors, and everybody wants their point heard, and they want to be respected at that top table. Whereas when it was Sir David, it was very much, I'm calling the shots. So it was a different dynamic. But see, when I look at Rangers now, and I look at these guys with a pedigree over in the 49ers, they threw a hell of a lot of money at it. I think this is a perfect time to come in and try and build something, and then try and get something going in the right direction. Clearly at the moment it's a bit of a mess, but if you have belief in what you're actually trying to do, and you're going to get support for these guys, and the fan base can see a progression on the pitch, then you've got a fighting chance, because you're going to be backed, and there's a bit of stability within the club, as opposed to when we were there last year, there was no structure at all. So what I'm saying is, you have a good structure, all being the opening 6 months couldn't have went any worse for them. Yeah. So they need to try and readdress that and get this right.
It led to believe that the owners were going to give Gerrard 5 years. He was going to get a 5-year contract, so that tells you that they were going to persevere with what's happening and hoping it's going to get right.
Yeah, but if they were going to give him a 5-year...
He's only manager to get time, I think, Steven Gerrard.
You know, the funny thing is, there are so many...
I think Danny Rohl will get a 5-year deal.
No, I don't. But I think I think as we move on to Danny Rohl, it's just as uninspiring as Russell Martin, I'm sorry to say. Yeah. No harm to the boy. He's got Sheffield Wednesday to 12th. Well, whoop-de-doo. At the end of the day, the reason why I think we all plumped for Muscat was because it was crying out for somebody with a CV that had
trophies.
Trophies. Had that point where you say to yourself, now, Souness was a different scenario, because Souness came in at a time when Scottish football couldn't spend the money that they were giving him. So he had a fighting chance to attract people. The other thing which a lot of people forget about in the Souness era, and subsequently Walter Smith, is English football was banned from European football.
Get the England back four?
It was easier to bring the England back four. So as time goes on and Celtic come out of their mess, and then they eventually get Fergus McCann in, you get that competition. Now Rangers are looking and saying to themselves, well, Celtic are cash rich. So how are we going to destabilise a good coach in Brendan Rodgers, 13 out of 14 titles? We're going to have to go and get somebody with a CV who's used to winning, who understands maybe the club as a bonus, but is a good enough manager that can take Celtic on. That hasn't happened. Danny Rohl, for me, is just as bewildering as Russell Martin.
He's not got a pedigree of winning trophies, Peter, as a manager, and that's the problem. True. I think when you're a Rangers manager, you've got to have some sort of pedigree, maybe even as a player. You've won a lot of trophies, you're Steven Gerrard. I think as a manager, you've got to get in there with a pedigree of having proven that you're a winner at manager, as a manager. He hasn't got that, and I don't think he's going. I think he'll be the same boat as Russell Martin.
Do you know the interesting thing, and I'm going to, because I don't think it's the appointment of a Steven Gerrard, in terms of or a Muscat in terms of trophies. I think we actually disregard the mid-table finish. I was privy to that actual Sheffield Wednesday situation. They were an absolute mess. The owners were threatening the fans, if you don't buy season tickets, we're going to choke the playing budget and all this. It was just a real mess. And I heard an interesting thing the other day with Barry Bannon. Now, Russell Martin, I've got my philosophy, I'm going to play this particular way, and I'm not for budging. This guy did budge. He is expansive, wants to be high press, all the usual buzzwords. Yep. But he ended up going, we didn't have the players to play that. And what he did is he was pragmatic, and he went like, do you know what, we're going to go a little bit more back to front, we're going to play percentage game, and they started creeping up. So I quite like the fact that he is flexible enough to actually try and get them to where they need to get to with the personnel, and that might be the case currently with this group, because they might not be able to play from the back, but they have to find a way of winning, Peter. Yeah. And that's the starting block for this group.
As well as a good time to come into Rangers because they're poor, right? And they still have the old problems that have been there for the last year. do you think that somebody has got to sit down at a press conference and say, listen, we said we didn't want to go through rinse and repeat. We're not going to do it this time. You're going to have to suck up for a couple of years the fact that Celtic or Hearts or whatever, I'm just throwing that in there now because it's early days, but Celtic are going to win the league. You're going to have to suck it up until this manager gets the structure in place. The message wasn't clear, you know, because the expectations of Rangers fans is he's in, title, cups, we want it to happen. Yeah. It's not going to happen, Alex.
No, and you know the interesting thing about this? And, you know, they want to have this process, and you're saying, OK, well, you mentioned it, a 4 or 5 year thing, man. It's this kind of steady build to where we get to. This is never going to work with Rangers. They'll never work, because you have a fan base who are so demanding on trophies. So the fan base will constantly demand, and when it doesn't happen, it becomes toxic.
Well, the other thing about it...
So you're stuck in that cycle.
That's why you need an experienced manager.
Yeah, no,
not only can come in and say, right, I'm going to organise the structure of the club, but I'm also going to give a stern message to the fans and let them buy into what I'm trying to do. Yeah. You're not going to get that with a... You're not going to get that with a Russell Martin, or you're definitely not going to get it with a Danny Rohl saying, look, give me the time. It's just not going to happen. Now, Danny Rohl, you know, he's going to come in there, and the one thing he is going to realise is, quite simply, Alec, that this is a team of people with a questionable attitude, strength of character, and, of course, the ultimate thing, lack of ability.
Yeah, well, listen, Jack Butland came out of the weekend and he was talking about all this, and there's a source of frustration with Jack, and I actually think Jack could quite easily have went a lot further than he did do, and I think he would be within his rights. Clearly there's things not right within that dressing room. Now, I've been saying for weeks, the manager's getting battered, but the players are getting away scot-free. Now, there was obviously a banner at the weekend saying, you know, stand up and be counted along the lines to the players. You can't hide behind buses, you can't hide behind managers. So they really need to, within the dressing room, whether they've got that, I'm not exactly sure, because it's been going on too long. So, again, it doesn't matter whether it's Muscat, Steven Gerrard or Danny Rohl. It doesn't matter. See, until that dressing room, they start getting people who are going to dig up, because you're looking at this team in 45 minutes, brilliant, really good, brilliant, free-flowing football. See, as soon as it comes on top, they're crumbling. They're caving in. And it's not that they're caving in and they're going like, ah, right, we'll just dig in and we'll grind out a 1-0. They're shipping goals for fun.
Yes.
They're so wide open. And this would have to be the first thing when you go in there. What did Souness do, like you said there? Yeah. You need to sort out the back line and build for there and then build forward.
The other thing about it, and it's not exactly rocket science, Ruffy, I've said this on countless shows, good managers come in and they actually look and say, right, okay, we've got to get the spine of the team right. So you get it, you know, it's like Brian Clough said, what did you do to make Nottingham Forest come out of the old second division into the first division to win the league and win the European Cup? So I'll tell you what I did. I bought Peter Shilton. I had two guys, Kenny Bunce and Larry Lloyd, right at the heart of it. And then in the middle, I made sure I had Archie Gemmell in there. And over and above that, it was a little sprinkling of gold dust. And the gold dust was a fat Scottish boy on the left-hand side who could beat guys for fun. John Robertson, one of the greatest Scottish players ever. And then from there, you've got O'Neill, you've got Peter With, you've got Gary Birtles, you've got Ian Boyer, you know, and eventually Trevor Francis. That's how you build a side. Yeah. At the back, don't lose goals, we're not losing games.
Well, this is what the new guy's got to do, but unfortunately he's not going to be able a chance to do that in January. In fact, he's got about a fortnight to be hero or villain with the cup game.
Well, the games coming up are incredible. Yeah. You know, so they've obviously got Europe, Kilmarnock, Hibs away, who are decent form, and then they've got the semi-final. Sorry, yeah. So doesn't get any tougher.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a baptism of fire for
absolutely.
Them. And thank God that Rangers don't have an owner in Evangelos Marikanis, or Danny Rohl would be out by the end of November. But we'll talk about that. 2-2 was the end up, and you were alluding there to Jack Butland, what he had to say after that draw for Rangers.
Anger, mate, to be honest. A story that we've seen a lot, and a feeling that we felt a lot. So yeah, angry. It's obviously demoralising for everybody when you put in a first half like that where you see some real people sort of express themselves, and okay, we only scored one, we should score more, but a good performance, solid going forward. There was some exciting stuff going on. So to go from that to what happened between 1-0 and 2-1 down is, honestly, I would love to know exactly what goes through half the lads' heads at times, or us as a team, what goes through, how do we get ourselves in that position. But it's a story of the season, really.
Yeah, he's been fairly honest about it.
They don't get the second goal, Peter, in the second half. If they get the second goal, that's 3 or 4-0 probably at Rangers, because they're all relaxing, they play, and the fans, but the longer it goes at 1-0, it's always been in that movie before. Fans start to get edgy, Dundee United score, and then Rangers just crumbled. They absolutely crumbled.
Did you think he was maybe at fault for the first one? He was, or did it come through?
No, it came through.
Yeah.
No, it came through. And the second one as well. You could see the look in his face. I mean, when you get defenders in front of you...
The second one is not to blame. It's a worldie, isn't it?
Well, I have to be honest with you. So, see, the thing is, they played with 2 6s at the weekend, Rangers, and how Sybil gets in behind in that little corridor to then. And then I think it was Cornelius, and he was literally from here to the camera, which is about 6 yards away. There is no pressure on the ball. So it allows him to just play that round him, and it's obviously great execution and fair play to young Sybil. But the actual reality is see, when you're fighting for your life, you've got to go out and shut that down, press that and take one in the chops.
Yes.
And I just don't see it. I don't see the desire to get after the ball and then stop that or try and get something on a ricochet.
Yeah, but that was Butland's point, when you could see it when they hit the back of the net. Why are you not doing that? If you're going to press it, if you're not going to press it, go out the road and let me get a field view of it. What they're doing is just blocking his view, and just standing still.
Jim Goodwin, obviously Dundee United boss, well happy with the point, and of course I think he emphasised to the players, get back in the game or get in the game, get in front, whatever you do, you can increase the anxiety inside Ibrox.
Grew into the game in the second half, and obviously, getting the equaliser was important. We felt at that point, were we able to get things back on level terms, that the atmosphere might change again in our favour, and you could kind of sense that anxiety coming from the stands. And the disappointment, from us is to be leading and at such a late stage in the game and not to be able to see it through. It does feel a little bit like a couple of points dropped, but at the same time, had you offered me a draw at half time for as bad as we were, I'm pretty sure I'd have taken it.
Sometimes when you are talking so much about the madness of Celtic and Rangers, you forget about the team that's worked hard to get the point in the first place.
Yeah, I thought, listen, I've obviously just seen the highlights. The first half Rangers were well on top, could have been 2 or 3 up, but he's obviously getting a few boys at half time. In second half, I thought they came out, won a lot of second balls and just put a little bit of pressure on the Rangers. And Rangers, as we've seen, confidence is very brittle at the minute. And as soon as they went to 1 each, I thought they're probably going to win the game here, and they were unlucky not to do it. Obviously, Tavernier popped up with a late equaliser, but impressed with Dundee United the second half. I think they're sitting in 4th in the table. Jim Goodwin's doing a great job up there. He's signed 13, 14 players in the summer, a lot of foreign boys, and he's moulded them into a good unit, and they look a handy side.
When we all, once the transfer window closed and we all gave our assessment of who was going to win the league, who would be second and third, and then who was getting into the playoff or relegated, it looked as if, you could have made a good call. The majority, I took it in the chin for saying Hearts would finish second. Listen, who knows the way the whole league's going to go? It's a long, long time. Twists and turns along the way. New manager, new structure, maybe backing for Rangers in the January transfer window. But suddenly, I'm looking at teams in this league, and it's crazy. You've got Hibs, who are third, we're going to talk about. You've got Hearts, who are top. You've got Dundee United, who pulled off a good result. Kilmarnock played well up until they met Hearts.
That's right, yeah.
And then you've got Motherwell playing really good football in 45-minute spells and then eventually blowing it. And Aberdeen,
back-to-back,
suddenly are back-to-back. They're on their way again. I'll be getting it from Kenny.
Tam wanted them sacked 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm only kidding.
Tam, you don't need to...
I tipped them. I tipped them to win at the weekend, Aberdeen.
Yeah, absolutely. We were up an actual 1 game away from winning about 600 quid, Ruffy.
Yeah.
But still, that's Alison for you. Pick him.
And saying that, when I saw the first half at Motherwell, I went, well done, Alison.
Yeah.
No, at the end.
Oh, no, exactly. Listen, honestly, I'm going to tell you something about that game in a moment. But the reason why I mention it is because it's so tough to call. Aberdeen are looking as if they're on the way up. And then you get to a situation where the Celtic bandwagon rolls on with you know, the lines coming out from the manager continually. The fans are unhappy. They're throwing tennis balls and every type of thing you could think of on to show their displeasure at the board. And then you've got Celtic again, this kind of a turgid performance and done in by Dundee.
Yeah. No, and I have to commend Big Elvis. I thought he set his boys up brilliantly. They carried a threat, which is really good when you're playing against a team that's so, 80% possession, and they managed to get up the pitch and get the 2 goals. Yeah, I thought Celtic were slow, and the thing is, you think back at Celtic over the last couple of years, they have been peppering the target constantly, scoring over 100 goals last year, and this year they seem as if they're kind of struggling in that regard. Yeah, there's something not quite right with the way things are going, and I think it's 6 games they haven't scored in. You know, it was almost last year they never kind of did that already. 3 the winning goals were in injury time also, so that was a good start for my mate earlier on who filled me in with that. But they are huffing and puffing, Peter, and with the off the field stuff as well, it seems to me as if they are in a really bad place as a club because the fans are against the board. There seems to be this kind of disconnect with the manager and the recruitment side of things as well. So I think they just need to try and get on a run to try and get up running. They've got Hearts at the weekend, which will be really fascinating because the whole emphasis will turn, if Hearts won at the weekend, more onto the manager and the team, because I think they've kind of got away with it over the last 10 or 12 games.
Well, slowly but surely, Alec, and I'm glad you brought that point up. Slowly but surely, a lot of fans are saying, listen, we're unhappy with the board, we're unhappy with the recruitment, but you've still got some team there that can outspend anybody, can certainly outplay them, and you have to do the job. And this is what he had to say. And again, another classic Brendan, another classic line that he delivered. And I'm going to quote Chris Boyd on something that he said that I thought he actually nailed it on the coverage. But this is what he had to say. It's not all linear or smooth all the way through the season. We lost a lot of firepower and goals from the team. And there's no way you go into a race with the keys to a Honda Civic and take off like a Ferrari. It's not going to happen. So until something changes, I have to find the solution. Like I said, goals, speed, everything, we have to find a way to be better. Now, again, you can spin it any way you want. That's Brendan having a go in typical Brendan fashion about the fact that they didn't give him the keys to the Ferrari, the engine in the Ferrari, to be able to actually go and play the football that he wants. So you know exactly where he's going with that. And of course, the one thing that Chris Boyd said, which I thought, fair play to you. There comes the classic England match of the day interview, just to let everybody in the English Premier League know, I'm here, I'm available, I haven't gone away, I'm not going to be with Celtic next season, I'm ready for you. Honestly, you could write a book on the amount of times that has happened. Down there, English press, lovely, because we don't like the Scottish press. We'll give you that. You'll do it strategically. And by the time we get to May, he'll be off. My gut feeling is if this turgid football continues, the Celtic fans will go, wait a minute, you're to blame, and the board will sack him. And if they sacked him, I think it'd suit him.
Possibly, yeah, but I think it's his own downfall for not definitively coming out and saying, right, you know, I'm waiting on a rolling contract, I'm waiting on something. He hasn't come out and said, is he staying, is he not?
He's not saying Ruffy.
Right, but no, he's not said that. You're just saying that because you think he's going to go away, but he's not said that. So what's left the fans going, is he going, is he no? And the last person I remember that happened to when the season absolutely collapsed was Walter Smith. When Walter Smith said he was going to Everton halfway through the season, the whole season just evaporated because they all knew he was leaving. You know, and if the supporters think that is the case, the same thing's going to happen to Celtic.
I don't think, certainly Celtic fans that I speak to, I don't know anybody that thinks he's going to stay.
No, he's not staying.
Let me say even better than that. I'm not too sure too many people actually want him to stay.
No, I don't think I don't think there's any, if many, would want Brendan Rodgers to be the manager next season. I think you look at the performances so far this season, and you're talking about the keys to a Ferrari and stuff like that. You know, they signed Alec Quisha for £6 million. They signed Tanecki for £5-6 million, Peter. They've got a £9 million guy on the bench trustee. They've got an £11 million midfield on the bench. He's the money to spend, Peter. You could outspend every other club, and they're currently sitting 5 points behind Hearts. So I think you hit the nail on the head. I think if Hearts beat Celtic on Sunday, I think Brendan Rodgers will be really under pressure. And again, I hate agreeing with you. I think he'd be delighted to get the bump. I think he'd be delighted to get the bump.
If he's delighted to get the bump the way they're going now and what's happened to him over the last couple, what kind of team are we talking about he's going to? Where does his CV at this precise moment give him to go?
You're talking about a division where you've got people who are owners now of clubs who are giving guys 8 games. The Premier League is going down a road which is potentially the worst road for football, for managers, for stability, for looking at it and saying this is, you could be sacked in the Premier League and that's you set for life. But the fact that, Postecoglou's got 8 games, 39 days.
It's a shambles.
It's a shambles. It is a laughingstock. He is the worst type of owner you could ever want to sign a deal with. It's, they say it's not worth the paper it's written on. You'd actually wonder if you were going to get out to parade yourself with a scarf before he's looking at somebody else. It's a disaster. So he'll get a job in the Premier League, absolutely no doubt about it, because you only have to look at his narrative will be, well, wait a minute, I was within a hair's breadth of taking Bayern Munich out in the knockout, and then I asked them for players and I didn't get them. My point, Alec, on this, and I'm going to cut Brendan a bit of slack here because I do think he's a top coach, is this problem. I don't think he agreed to the signing of the majority of the players. I think he's in there in a structure and a well-oiled machine that says, here's your players. Can I have this one? No, you're getting this one.
Well, do you know the interesting thing about all this is we've been discussing this for years. Nobody really knows the structure of Celtic and how they recruit players. Because that would... we've went, he signed Balikwisha and he signed Tanecki. But has he? So that's what I'm saying. We don't actually know the actual structure. But I think I think Brendan Rodgers has done more than enough in his managerial career to walk into another top job. And even if you think about the trophies he's secured up here, now this season's been with turgid and things. Last year they're flying. Out with, and there seemed to be a little bit of dip with the cup final, it wasn't great against Aberdeen. But the actual reality is, in the main, this guy's trajectory's been up there.
Yeah.
It started to dip a little bit since the cup final last year, knocked out of the Champions League this year. So it started to dip a little bit. But in the main, over the body of work of his career, it's been no bad. You've got to give him that, at least. But the now is the narrative of the circumstances which he's currently working under. And it can't be... Because see if they're not backed him in the window there, and you actually think, if we could have got the boys in, it might have gave us... I still think the squad that he had was good enough to beat the Kazakhstan lot. But the actual reality is they didn't get it. So then everybody's jostling for thing, because the punters are on top of you. Yeah. So they're all jostling for position. So then what's that? And then all of a sudden, this has been a mess created within the corridors of Parkhead.
Yeah, and he can't resist, Ruffy. This is that statement there is not just about that game against Dundee. He does it every week. He's now changed his line to, I've just got to try and work out a solution from the dross that I've got.
I don't think he's daft enough if he knows, as you say, he's leaving at the end of the season. He'll want a reasonable Premier club. If he thinks he's going to just see out this season, no double, no treble, nothing, he's not going to get the same club that he's going to get if his profile starts. I know what he's done. There's no doubt about that, but he's not daft enough to just down tools and say, right, I'm not caring if I don't win the league, I'm not caring if I don't win a cup.
It doesn't matter if he's not daft enough. His team just get gubbed with Dundee. Dundee have been the whipping boys over the last 4 or 5 weeks, Ruffy.
Yeah, but we all know who he's blaming. He's blaming the board because they never fulfilled what he wanted. So when January comes, we'll get a right idea of who's doing what at the club.
Let's not forget also, to put this pressure on him, Dundee managed to beat them by 2-0, and Stephen Presley, like many a manager, has said it's better been lucky than good.
I think to beat Celtic on any given day, you have to carry a degree of luck. But you also have to show a real resilience and a real determination in the way you play. You can talk all you want about the tactical elements, but the delivering of them is ultimately down to the players, and I thought they were exceptional today. They showed the courage to play under pressure at times. They also showed the energy to counter at the appropriate times. So I couldn't be prouder, because it's been a difficult couple of weeks for us on the back of the Aberdeen game.
Yeah, I mean, I think general consensus, and I think we all know the persona and the reality of, Stephen Presley is different. I hate to say this, he is a good lad. He really is a good lad. But he's the type of guy, though, Tam, you could say to Elvis, by the way, happy birthday, I've got you a cake and I bought you a red Ferrari out there, here's the keys. And he'd look at you and he'd go, and I just want to thank you for that.
Thanks very much.
Yes, absolutely. But by the way, fair credit to these players. A lot of them, I might as well tell you now, have made it into the team of the week.
Yeah, listen, I'm delighted for Elvis. He signed me for Falkirk. I worked under him for a season, and I really, really liked him as a coach, liked him as a person. I think he's got good morals as well. And listen, he's been written off early doors at Dundee. Yeah,
that's what I liked him.
I hated that. He came in, Stephen Presley, he's sacked at Coventry or sacked at Dundee.
Yeah. Come
on, give the guy a chance. And a lot of Dundee fans have written him off, and I'm glad that he's proven them wrong. At the minute, there's still a long way to go, but great result for Dundee. First time they've beat Celtic at home in 40 odd years. So no, delighted for him, delighted for the club. And they'll look to push up the table.
See, that's the thing, is you have to work really hard to get these results, the organisation and getting the best out of your boys. And then obviously when they went there, the punters were going, what? Yeah. There was a wee kind of bit discontent, but the actual reality is he's actually done well. And I'm pleased for him, because it's very difficult to turn that mindset around, try and get the punters on board.
It's very difficult to actually somehow get a structure and a team in place. And what he did early on, when I saw him in the early days, when they played against Hibs, they were getting booed. But what he basically said, Ruffy, was this back five and the back four, I don't want any space in between you. And we'll leave somebody as the out ball, and we'll try and support you. But when they get the ball
into shape.
Back into shape. And from there, that's where they've built. And that's where they've been able to say, right, okay, I've assessed the type of players I've got now. Can we hit in the counter-attack? Can we cause problems from set pieces? And that's what they managed to do. Tactics spot on.
No, if anything, right at the very beginning, he's been very, very honest. He came in and said, I need 10 players. I need 10 players to get to play the way that you're talking about. And in all fairness to him, it's taken him time, but he's done it. He's brought them in for here and there, and he's now got a partner, and you could see that at the weekend. It's working.
Yeah, so they get the win. Congratulations to Dundee. Celtic fans out there, give us your thoughts. Got to quickly say before we move on to Hearts that the show goes out live at 4. The majority of people who watch the programme will watch it at their leisure later on at night on the television and the YouTube channel. So right now, we now know that Danny Rohl has been confirmed as the Rangers manager on a 2.5-year deal.
Alec just said he's one of the greatest managers that thinks Rangers will ever have.
Well, he started singing
Danny,
Rohl with
it.
Yeah.
Danny.
It's a Stonewall Tina Turner, and then you got to roll with it. It's going to be out there on that public address system, Ruffy.
Yeah, there certainly will be. I mean, I think Rangers support.
You start laughing.
No, they just want them.
It's this Sunday we're going. Me and you will go. Ruffy in the main stand.
Absolutely.
He's got to come in. He's just got to win games. And he'll know that himself. He's been in the game long enough that you win a game, things turn. But I still think the 2nd of November is going to be the big one. If he wins that one, he's a hero.
Let's calm your jets on this point, Alec, which is quite simply, he's just got to come in and assess things. And I don't know if the board will speak on his behalf, or he'll have to come out and say it. But the basis of Danny Rohl at a press conference will be, listen, you get rid of the last guy in jig time. I need time.
Yeah.
And your squad's not great. Somebody needs to tell the fans a home truth.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to come out and do that. I don't think I would not expect a manager to come out and go, this squad are no great. I genuinely.
No, I don't think that. But I think if I was Danny Rohl, I'd sit in the chair and I'd go, listen, it's going to take time. Please give me the time, and I will turn this around.
Well, unfortunately, listen, regardless of what he says, if he says that, Peter, the actual reality is the punters will want to see some sort of improvement.
Yes.
And that's only short term. So I'm really interested to see how this plays out, because he's obviously went into Sheffield Wednesday and he has a philosophy and he has an idea how he wants to play. As soon as you quickly realise what you've got at your disposal, that's where you need to go to work, Peter, because you then need to go, right, okay, what's my best back four? What's going to stop shipping goals? How do we do that in the middle of the park? How do we become more resolute when we don't have the ball? Because Rangers are kind of get carved open. See, for the opening I don't know, is it 14, 15 games, whatever it is. See the amount of times you see Rangers and getting transitioned, teams getting after them, and then big gaps and things. That needs to get plugged, because there doesn't seem to be a structure without the ball. So you need a good rest defence, so that your defenders are locked onto Tam's playing centre forward, you go bang, we're in there. So they need to become more resolute without the ball, because it looks as if they've got certain patterns. If they get Ashgard and that into the right areas as well, which you've seen at the weekend, getting him up to speed. But I'm fascinated to see how this plays out, because if the boy has to actually find a system and a shape very quickly for the personnel. And by the way, what have we got? What day is it today? Monday. So 3 days before he goes or to Scandinavia, and then obviously home. And Kilmarnock have actually started the season well as well. So it's a baptism of fire.
Absolutely. And that point that you were making there was the first chance that came in that game was Dolchek. And as he's running onto the ball, the shot that just went past the post,
there was a deflection, wasn't it?
There was only 2 Rangers defenders chasing him, and he was in goal. So he's got to sort out the back four. Anyway, he's got a 2.5-year contract. Tell us what you think about it. He's the new Rangers manager. Some people caned me on social media last night because I said he was third choice. And they said, no, he's 5th or 6th choice. I think you have to look at who's been offered the job. Am I right? Or is he 5th choice?
I think there'll be some revision going on about him having knocked back the job initially. That was the rumour, he's knocked back the job he wasn't happy with. I think that will be...
Well, he took his cell out of the running. I got the impression that he felt as if Muscat was a done deal.
Yeah.
And then he's actually tried to save face and went, I'll just pull myself out of this. That's the impression I got. Whether it's true or no, that's what from the outside looking in.
I never thought Sean Dyche was a realistic option.
No, but
But listen, he's got the job, and we will see what he's able to do. Now, listen, it's early days. I'm just looking at the date here. It's the 20th of October. It's a long, long way to go. But should I be buying the Hearts socks and just buy them in instalments now? 3-0 at Kilmarnock, and boy, did they look good.
3 breakaways. What was that corner?
Actually, the 2 Braga goals, Kilmarnock gave the ball to them.
Listen, Kilmarnock defended really poorly. Set piece, first goal, Halkett obviously, great header. But listen, I think the Hearts are playing with a lot of confidence at the minute. You can see. I don't think there was much in the game until the opening goal. Thought Kilmarnock probably started a wee bit brighter, but they're really solid at the back, Hearts, and they've got a threat in the forward areas. Karazidis and Braga and Shanklin's playing a kind of deeper role. They look a real threat. Cammy Devlin was excellent middle.
They have a good balance, Tama. To their team, they look as if they're in a comfortable place.
They're playing Shankland obviously slightly deeper off of Braga, which is interesting. One, and they're playing Karazidis.
It'll be interesting if we could wind this on a week, won it on Monday, and he'll be sitting there going, oh no.
Yeah, it's a huge game on Sunday. I think if Hearts beat Celtic at the weekend, I think...
Get the socks.
There'll be brown stuff trickling down my leg on Monday. But there's a long way to go. But no, Hearts have been really impressive. You've got to give them credit. You've got to give Derek McInnes credit. They've started really, really strongly, and it's just if they can keep it up and keep the consistency.
Yeah. Listen, this is what Stuart Kettlewell and Derek McInnes made of it.
I want us just to be obsessed with winning, addicted to winning, whether it's home or away, and if we can get that bit between the teeth and enjoy this feeling that we're getting at the minute, then that's there for us every game we play. If we work towards it, we're not going to. It's going to be belts in the mouth along the road, and there's going to be tight games where we don't get the desired outcome, but we just want to try and keep those to a minimum.
I'm never chucking anybody under the bus here, but you don't see it coming from guys that have been so reliable as well. So I don't finger point, I don't, as I say, chuck anybody under the bus. What we have to do is learn for errors, but that's not tactically, it's not even technically, it's almost levels of concentration and decision making.
Yeah, 2 slips and Braga was on them, and the ball's in the back of the net. I mean, he's a player, Ruffy, and the fans absolutely adore him. The only thing is that pain in the arse song that they keep singing now every 2 minutes. It's non-stop,
He's certainly got some, particularly when he's in the box. He's tricky, he's got great feet. The goal he scored was great.
Good finisher.
Fixing it, was superb. And as Tam said, we're not talking about Shanklin now. No, Shanklin's no.
Some other areas,
it's other players that we're now talking about, so that just shows you how well they're doing.
Halkett's got a few as well now,
Yeah.
Threat through set pieces.
Finlay,
was it 7? They're top of the set piece chart out with penalties on 7.
Yeah, but also the good thing about him, which he's doing really well, Alec, is he's got a squad and he's utilising the bench, and the bench is contributing as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the key factors when you're looking at a team that can potentially do something is can they bring someone on that doesn't diminish the quality of the starting 11, and it looks as if he's recruited well. When we go back to all these other clubs, Hearts will most certainly recruit again in January, and if they continue to recruit in the kind of manner which we've seen so far in the early exchanges, they could go further this season.
The only thing that
He's let you off. Usually when somebody says something like that, he goes, "Win the league." He usually does.
With all due respect, with all due respect, I did say, and I'm the only one in this whole entire panel for the whole week who predicted Hearts would finish second. And you absolutely all battered me early on. Now, there's a long way to go, and this is the point I'm about to make, which all of you are well aware of. When George Burley was there for Hearts, on that run, everybody jumped on, piled on, this could be unbelievable. Little did they know Romanoff was going to get involved and derail the whole thing. When he was at Aberdeen, Alec at Aberdeen, Tony Docherty was sitting in this chair and he said we should have won the league.
That's
They
right.
had Celtic were managed by the guy who's just been sacked again, Ronnie Dyler.
Like Ronnie,
so they had a great chance, but they collapsed Aberdeen in October. There's a blip coming for Hearts, but it would be interesting to see if that blip happens longer down the line and they're able to crank it up. And on Sunday, if they win against Celtic, suddenly,
momentum.
You're just everybody goes mental.
Yeah, but see, when I look at Hearts, I don't mean this disrespectful to the rest of the league, because all the other teams have got various qualities. You look at Motherwell for periods, Aberdeen a wee bit up and down, Dundee United, his lot, Hibs are kind of drawn quite a lot. If they can maintain this way, the rest of the rest, and Nick draws and get the odd result against the two bigger ones, as you like, who knows where he can go.
He said you have to get used to winning. If they beat Celtic, they'll get St Mirren, Dundee and Dundee United, and then Aberdeen away, and that's you, and then Motherwell, that's you into November. So, I mean, what do you do if Stephen Presley is able to engineer it? What do you do if you're Derek McInnes going into that one?
I think you're rubbing your hands, Peter. I think you're looking at it as a great opportunity to go and go 8 points clear. I think you're looking at Celtic at the weekend there and they were poor. I think there's areas you can get at them. They look toothless in the forward areas. Hearts are playing with a lot of confidence, packed Tynecastle. So, and Derek McInnes has proven over the years as Aberdeen manager and Kilmarnock manager that he can beat the rest. He's very consistent. At Aberdeen, he finished top 3, top 4, every year, and they were very consistent. They didn't need to beat Celtic all the time or Rangers, but they beat the rest all the time. And I think that's why I think Hearts are going to be a threat this season, because even if they do get beaten Saturday or drawn Saturday, I think they'll go and beat St Mirren. I don't see them dropping off like Aberdeen last season, going 12 games without a win.
No, I don't see that.
I think they'll maybe lose, maybe 1 or 2, then maybe win a couple, and they'll maintain that gap over the rest. So, no, I think Sunday is an enormous opportunity for Hearts to really put a marker down, but they're real title contenders.
Yeah, would you say that on Monday if they defeat Celtic on the Sunday?
Yeah, I would. Listen, if they go 8 points ahead of Celtic, I think they're real title contenders, absolutely. But they've got to prove it against Celtic.
Yeah, can you see them do it?
No.
Yeah, I can actually, Peter.
Yeah.
I don't want them to, but I think I can see them beating Celtic at the weekend, the way Celtic are playing in the Staleness.
I think at this moment in time, Hearts' front three are better than Celtic's front three.
You happy with that? Do you see them? Do you think
they're
they'll
playing
win
with more
Sunday?
confidence? Yeah, absolutely.
I think Hearts will win on Sunday. Do you think they will?
No.
No?
No.
I don't either.
I think Celtic is, like I said, 80% possession. They had a lot of chances, wee things going. I think they just have too much for Hearts.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me too.
By the way, this is Monday.
No.
You know what Bonzo's like.
Oh no, change it on Friday. I know that. I know this works. By the way, no, but I just think
he's not in on Friday, so he can do it now.
I don't see them beating them.
No. Listen, I think they're capable of.
No, we know they're capable. That's a rough feeling.
No. I look at the way that Hearts are performing, and I can see them actually getting a result. But I just think when it matters, with the Celtic team, with the kind of your McGregors, your Carter Vickers, and the likes of them, I just think they'll probably have too much for them on Sunday.
Okay. Interesting. Can't wait to see you next Monday.
I know.
By the way, another thing, we're talking about Hearts. Hibs are third. What a great result that was.
I just think this, obviously because Hearts are going so well, people are taking their eye off the other clubs a wee bit. I think that Hibs have drew a lot of games. I watched the full game at the weekend. I thought by a mile the best performance of the season. I thought Clegy, who came in, who's been in and out the team, and the fans have been really wanting to see him getting a run of form. He's cost £1 million. I thought he was superb at the weekend. I thought he looked a real player. Scored the first goal, caused Livingston all sorts of problems, won the penalty. And Hibs could have beat Livingston 5 or 6 easily. Solid at the back, real threat, real complete performance from Hibs, and an opportunity for them to go and kick on now. But I think with the run of games that Hibs have got coming up, I think they've got Aberdeen away at the weekend, who come back from a tough away game in Athens. An opportunity to go in there. They've got Rangers at home, so there's an opportunity for Hibs to go and
kick on.
Maybe go and push for top 3 as well. No, but obviously all the hype's about Hearts, and rightly so. They've started great, but Hibs play the way they played at the weekend. They'll be thereabouts as well.
Yeah. Tell you what, if Hibs win the title, Alec and I will wear the full kit.
All day long. Yeah, I'll be like, wear a Celtic one.
It's got green on it.
I won't come doing Duke Street with that one.
The 150th anniversary trip, he's got to wear the hoops.
Oh, anything.
He knows it's not happening. Sorry, Hibs fans. This is what David Gray and David Martindale made of that game.
A real strong squad. You've got competition for places, especially in that forward areas. When you look at even my bench today, the competition for places, the players that don't even get on the bench today. So I think it is a really good group. And when you get your opportunity, you need to make sure you play to a level that you can try and stay in the team, because I think that's healthy to have.
But it's a harsh reminder. I think last year in the champ, you probably got away with that today. You'd have probably got away with that because we were the bigger team. But my ambitions were to stay in the Premiership. Maybe it's a stark reminder to everyone at the football club how hard that job's going to be.
Yeah, you just need to remind us, because I think we picked Dundee and Falkirk and Livingston to be in that bottom 3, Ruffy, and Davies up against it.
I think he knows he is. He's got new owners in there and they gave him a wee bit of money, and he thought it was going to be a wee bit easier. But I mean, that's a game you've just got to put it away, put it in the burner, and then just move on, because he'll be playing the likes of the other teams, and that's the points he'll have to pick up.
Yeah. Okay, Hibs 4, Livingston 0. And I was at Fir Park for Motherwell 1, Falkirk 2. And I
game of two halves.
Oh, I'm changing my mind on them. I just cannot believe it, and I don't think the manager's going to be, my favourite cup of tea if I was in press conferences with him all the time. Because the first half, I looked at a couple of Falkirk players who were sitting in the stand, and the first half, they just looked at me, and it was like the fear of God in them. They were getting battered. They were unbelievable. The football they were playing, the movement. I will say this to them. I thought they got a perfectly good goal disallowed. And I think sometimes, Ruffy, and I don't know if you agree with this, I think sometimes VAR and the people in the VAR offices are looking and trying to find ways to disallow goals.
I would agree with you. I thought it was a bit rash as well. I thought the Falkirk defender came running in, and get caught on the turn. And for it takes so long to continue the play on. I don't know how many seconds it takes till the boy put the ball in the back of the net. That's the thing that kills you, because all of a sudden you're going back like 40 yards.
He's beat 3 men and then bomb over the keeper. It was a great goal.
Well, it's interesting because I was watching it. When the ball's run across, and you just try and sometimes block someone out. And then obviously you touched on there in terms of the goals was tremendous. So I was thinking to myself, has he kind of, blocked Spencer, wasn't it, in the middle of the park? I think it was. I think he's blocked off the boy Spencer. But normally what's a very good indicator is that the boy goes, that's a foul. But he doesn't even, he kind of just gets back up and tries to get back into position. So that normally would be an indicator for me that was, the on-field decision was the correct one to play on. And then obviously the VAR decision sees a little bit of contact, but I don't know if it's enough. Yeah, I don't think it was enough.
It really is poor, and I had great sympathy for the manager in that situation. But again, apart from that, the second half, I was going down, I think it was Aidan Nisbet was in his tracksuit, and he's going down and he said, this could be 10-0, and I said to him, yeah, but it's Motherwell. You're still in the game. It's only 1-0. The second half still to come, and they can't sustain this. And that's exactly the way it played.
Yeah, they didn't, and you've got to give Falkirk credit as well. Second half, I thought they were obviously the better team in the second half, and got 2 great goals towards the end. And John McGlynn's kind of flying under the radar a little bit. I think there's been a lot of hype about obviously Hearts and Motherwell and Dundee United, and Falkirk are doing really well as well. And I've got a lot of good players. You talk about Motherwell playing attacking football. You know, I think Falkirk play just as good as football as Motherwell. So I think you've got to give credit to Falkirk. I think a lot of people would expect them to go straight back down, but I don't think they will, Peter. I think Falkirk have got a bit about them. I think they've got players in the forward areas that can score goals. They're tidy in the middle of the park. And I don't think Falkirk will do this season.
This is Jens Berthel Askau and, of course, the Falkirk manager, John McLean.
It takes some things that we can't control, and the opposition can't either, to beat us here at Fir Park, then so be it. Then we will have to trust that with a better overall performance from us next time here, then we'll compensate for whatever.
Well, to come here and get 3 points is awesome. The character of the team is amazing. There's team spirit. They're being resilient. I'd like to know what would happen when we go in front, because we've, first in the game, we've not managed to do that. We've been trying to fight back in virtually every game we've played in. But thanks to the lads, togetherness, spirit, all the things I just mentioned there, they managed to dig out the results.
9 points.
Is that Ruffy?
Hibs, just as a side, Hibs sitting in third with 9.
Try not to run ahead of the thing.
Let's put the league table up, Ruffy. It's Monday.
It's coming up. Listen, let's get to the Dons. The Dundee Dons are back-to-back wins, Ruffy. And by the way, can I just say something to you? Do you remember, and this was better, do you remember when Berbatov ran to the corner in a game for Manchester United, and the guy was coming towards him and he flicked it back over him, yeah, on the
I remember it, yes.
Cut it over for the goal. This guy flicks it by them and then puts the ball in the... What a goal, Lazatic.
It was an incredible piece of skill. I was actually thinking to myself, because I think was it Tanzer? Was it the left back who steams in, and I'm thinking he's actually sold himself, but I don't really think anybody in the ground is expecting him just to dolly it over him and then manage to keep it in. But it's you know, as a goalkeeper,
no.
to get that.
If I've been beat there, if any goal, I've been absolutely raging.
But
he's at the near post.
Yeah.
He's got to just got to reflect.
It's by him before he moves.
No fear a good goalie.
Yeah, absolutely. For the benefit of anybody under 40, look at the Iran goal in 1978 when the whole nation was flattened. We're going to win the World Cup. Anyway, anybody get an argument with Jayden Richardson? I thought he's boot up.
Nah, petulance. Nah, yeah. I thought it was a red card.
Okay, here's the table, Ruffy. See what you make of it all, because Hearts out in front, and they can only throw it away. I think that's obvious. Celtic in behind them, then Hibs on 11, and then the bottom end, Livy, just a point behind Aberdeen. Ruffy, what's your take?
Yeah, well, already it looks as if Livingston is going to be down there for a large part of the season. I think all the other teams look capable enough of beating each other, so I think the table will be jumping up and down for a wee while. Okay,
this is my team of the week, Tam. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. McCracken in goal. Luke Graham, Halkett, Clark Robertson, and then the midfield four, I've gone for Congreve, the Dundee boy, with the left peg, Beningame, Sibbald and Dre Wright. They caused Celtic all sorts of problems. And I've put Lazatic in for the goal, Klidgey and Braga.
No Celtic players?
3 weeks in the trot, no Celtic or
Rangers
players. None.
That just sums up how poor they've been recently. So, yeah,
that's fair comment. I don't mind spreading it about.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it was anybody. It was any Celtic or Rangers player. Maybe Asgard.
Yeah, to be fair, in terms of his goals tremendous.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as I said to you a few weeks ago, I watched him play at Wigan as a younger boy, and that's what I was seeing on that day. He was very direct, he was getting after people, he was getting shots off. Up until that weekend there, I've yet to see him get after anyone, and it almost looked as if there was a different position where he was playing more advanced.
Okay, Thursday, Brann versus Rangers, Celtic versus Sturm Graz, AEK Athens versus Aberdeen. Just before we talk about the potential of what's going to happen, Alec, give us your immediate reaction now to Danny Rohl's appointment and what you think he's going to have to do in the first game in Europe.
What's the immediate reaction? Listen, it's almost, I get the feeling, and I don't mean this disrespectful, it's almost as if it's the last man standing. They had to get someone in, it's a couple of weeks now. They need a little bit of stability. He needs to get in there and get to work with this group and figure out for him what is his best shape with that personnel going forward. Because, as I said, I think he's got a couple of really tough games. I don't think Brann will be easy. I think that'll be a tough encounter. The European performances haven't been that clever, whereas that's one of the competitions they have been clinging on to in recent years. And then he has to get them back, go again on Sunday versus Kilmarnock, who are a decent enough team, well organised. So, to answer your question, it needs to get them organised as quickly as possible. Get a bit more unity within that squad, because clearly you've got senior players coming out and calling out players going, they need to show a little bit more bottle, for a better word, and they have to be united going forward, because for me it looked as if it's a group that's a bit fragmented. I don't see a team that's united. When you look at Hearts at the top of the table, they look as if everybody's buying in, the subs are buying in. I don't quite see that at Rangers at the moment.
Okay, Ruffy, Brann versus Rangers, Celtic versus Sturm Graz, AEK Athens against Aberdeen. Are we looking again at more miserable performances and 3 defeats for the Scottish sides?
Come on, Ruffy.
No, I think Celtic will get something.
What, a draw?
No, I think they'll win.
Okay, Tam?
Rangers draw, Celtic win, Aberdeen draw.
Okay, I'll go Brann to win, Celtic to draw, and AEK Athens to beat Aberdeen.
So a really positive outlook, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to finish, by the way, before you obviously, before you obviously gloat on Partick Thistle now closing in St Johnstone, can I just get your thoughts on Marinakis? 39 days, 8 games in charge, lost 31, won 13 of his last 50 Premiership games, and Ange Postecoglou sacked.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling, and you're absolutely right. I'm not exactly sure that this is a thing for all of the English Premiership, but this particular owner, you seen it last year when he was chasing down Champions League.
With Nuno.
Nuno, yes.
Chasing down the park.
And then you get him on the park and things. I don't think look-wise, it looks particularly good that an owner's on there arguing with the manager on the pitch. And at that particular time, automatically you're thinking, he's a dead man walking. Partly because this guy doesn't have any issues, he just goes out. And when you look at the way that Ange had started, and even some of the... I like Postecoglou, I actually like his fighting spirit, and it's almost as if he's having to try and sell himself to people. And it's a guy that wins trophies. We talk about trophies. So this guy's got confidence. He says, let me just do my thing. But unfortunately, when you've got an owner, and see, in hindsight, it might have been a good payday for Ange just to get in and out, but see, for the experience, with the money that these guys have got, I think he maybe look back at that and go, that might have not been a good fit for me to go in at North Forest, even though it's a brilliant club.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the game's changing for the worse, Ruffy.
Again, I keep saying, Alex touched on it briefly there, foreign owners have different mindset than the football people that we used to work with.
Yeah.
But
they put the money in and they control the whole thing.
See the English Premiership? Here's a question, somebody might be able to tell us this. Out of the ownership of the 20 clubs in the Premier League, they're all foreigners.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know what I mean?
The whole thing is now a business, and a lucrative business at that, and the demands to get an immediate success is proving costly for some managers. Can't even get 10 games, can't even get longer than 2 months in a job. It's not what you want to see. Anyway, I'm sure Ange, once he licks his wounds, hits the 4 digits on his current account, you'll think, you know what? I'll get a job sooner or later somewhere else. Anyway, listen, it's been action-packed. Danny Rohl is the new Rangers manager on a 2.5-year deal, and we will wait to hear what he has to say at his first press conference. But right now, I'm going to go out, get the Hearts socks, and then contemplate the shorts and the top if all roads lead to Tynecastle on Sunday.
1986 all over it again.
Yeah, okay. Let's hope there's not a flu epidemic. And don't forget, Tam's got his Twitter. You can leather him for that last line. Thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Alec Ray and to Tam McManus, for myself, Peter Martin. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Thank you for listening on the podcast, and thank you for watching.